Being in your 20s is a prime time to have fun. Being in your 20s is like opening up doors, and every single door that you open up is a different opportunity, different possibility, and a different adventure. It's because you have more energy. You can work on less energy, less sleep. You can go out, have drinks with a friend one night, wake up the next morning, and guess what? You're back at work. You can do that, and you also have less responsibilities. Usually you don't have kids yet. Usually you don't have a mortgage. Usually it's just you, and you're just trying to figure it out. You have less responsibilities, but you still get to have fun with all these friends that you're connected to. And if that's the case, that's amazing. That's fun. It sounds awesome. But in your 20s, it's also a prime time for you to create generational wealth or build money for retirement on a lot less because you have time on your side. And that's why in today's video, I'm going to be going over 3 mistakes that people in their 20s make that will absolutely set them back and destroy their finances. The first thing that you need to do is live below your means, because most people, they get out of college. You get out of college, now you're making this paycheck that's actually a lot bigger than you've ever made before. And so what do you do with that? Well, most people are going to go out and they're going to spend it. They're going to go out with friends. They're going to spend a lot of money. They're going to go shopping. They're going to do all these different things because they have all this extra income. When in reality, that's not what you want to do. That's a bad financial habit to make more money and spend more money. That is lifestyle inflation. So you want to avoid that as much as possible, and you want to live within your means. You want to set a budget and then live within that means. If your income is $2,000, you don't need to be spending $2,500 every single month in expenses. That is not a good recipe. That is not a good formula for success. If your income is $2,000, then you want to be spending about $1,000 on everything that you need. That's it, just $1,000. So how do you do this? You need to track your income and your expenses. Every single thing that goes out the door every single month, that's your expenses. Your income is just what you're bringing in every single month. If you don't know what that is, I'm going to put a video right here on how to actually create a budget. But the whole purpose of a budget is to be able to follow every single dollar and live within your means. You want to live within your means and not blow it. You don't need the Uber Eats. You don't need the DoorDash. You don't need to go shopping every single day. You don't need to go out and drink every single day with friends. I know you're in your 20s and you want to have fun. You want to live life. You want to go on those vacations. You want to do all these different things. But in your 20s is when you build a fine foundation for financial literacy. And that's where you also create good or bad habits. And so by starting out young, by starting out straight out of college, by starting out in your 20s, that is how you build this success around finances. You will have a good relationship with finance. You won't have bad relationships with finances where you're always dreading your finances because you have credit card debt, you have student loans, you have auto debt, you have all these different debts that are surrounding you and suffocating you, all because you started making bad habits right now. The second bad habit that people make in their 20s, the mistake to avoid, is to not invest early. That's the thing. People wait. And then they say, oh, well, now it's time to invest when I'm 30. Well, did you know that if you were putting in $100 a month, just $100 a month from the time of 20 to 30, you would probably have an extra $1 million in your bank account when you retire? That's the power of compound interest. That's the power of starting young, because compound interest, yeah, the money matters, what you're putting in, but it's nowhere close to time. Time is the most powerful part of compound interest. Time is the most powerful part of an investment, because the longer your money is in the market, the longer it works for you. And so the less you actually have to do, the less you have to put in, because it's the one that's actually working. It's doubling, it's tripling, it's quadrupling. It's making this huge portfolio for you, and it's slowly at the beginning rolling down that hill, but by the time it gets to the bottom, it's this massive snowball that it can't be stopped, and it just grows so fast. I mean, think about this. Say I have $100,000 tied up into an investment account and I get a 10% return every single year. That means I would get $10,000 every single year. But now let's say I have $900,000. $900,000, if I get a 10% return that year, it's $90,000. And so that's why they say, don't get the coffees, don't do the impulse buying, don't do Uber Eats, don't do the DoorDash, because your goal should be to gain money fast when you're young, as much as possible early, so that your investments work for you on the back end more and faster. So the faster you can get to those those 100,000, the 6 digits and the 7 digits, the more your money is actually going to work for you every single year. Instead of only getting $10,000 because you only have 100,000 saved up, you're actually going to get 100,000 if you have $1 million in your investment accounts. And that's why it's so critical to actually start investing early, start investing as young as possible, because you don't have to put as much in, but you're going to get bigger returns in the end. So some people probably say, well, I don't have any money to invest. That's okay, because if you don't have any money to invest, you're telling me you don't even have $10. I don't care how much it is. No matter what, if it's small, it's still better than nothing. Small investments are better than no investments, because that will add up over time. And eventually it can start growing, and it will start growing due to compound interest. It doesn't matter if you put $5 in when you're at 55, but if you're 20 and you can put a $20 bill in, that is still investing. That is actually a lot compared to what people are putting in when they're 55, 65, when their dollar's getting eaten away by inflation, and now they don't have time on their side. They don't have their best friend in time in the compound interest formula to actually work for them. So a small investment is better than no investment. And that's mistake number 2, is people do not know that they should start investing in their 20s. Mistake number 3 is not having an emergency fund. I know everyone's heard, you need to have an emergency fund. You need to have an emergency fund, because if you don't, you will absolutely get crushed. That's 100% the case. People look past that and say, I won't get crushed. I'll just, use my money. Well, the thing is about an emergency fund, it's supposed to relieve stress. You don't have as much stress when you have money that is saved up specifically for emergencies. So if your car breaks down and you have to spend $1,500, that's okay. Yeah, does it suck? You have to spend $1,500? Yeah, but guess what? You have a bank account specifically for those type of things. And so you have less stress, because now you can still operate on the same budget. You can still operate with your same income that you have, all without having to go into debt and swipe a credit card, because people don't have money for an emergency fund. So where do they get that money? They go into debt. They go to payday loans. They go to credit card debt. They go to private loans. They go all these different things in order to actually make ends meet with their emergency. But that is a horrible situation. It's super bad. That means not only are you paying for an emergency fund with a credit card, but now your emergency fund is going to cost an extra 25%, because people can't pay off the credit card super fast because they don't have another emergency fund for their credit card payment. And it's just a vicious cycle. You want to have an emergency fund. I know Dave Ramsey says $1,000. I think you should have more. Just in today's society, everything costs way more. If you go to a mechanic, it costs more. Groceries cost more. Medical bills cost more. Everything costs more. And so you want to have more. I would say probably $2,500 to $3,000, even up to $5,000. If you can have a $5,000 emergency fund, I would definitely do that. Start investing and then keep building that emergency fund so that you do have 3 to 6 months worth of expenses saved up in case something does happen. What if you get laid off? What if you have a medical emergency and you can't make your bills? Well, at least I have an emergency fund that I can, pay my phone bill, pay my electric, pay my groceries, pay my food, pay all these different things, all because you have an emergency fund that's built up. Now, that's going to take time. That's going to take time to build up that emergency fund, but that's what you need to do. You have an emergency fund that you start when you're super young, and then you slowly, just like your investments, put $100 in, put $100 in. And eventually you'll have this massive emergency fund where you don't have as much stress. You don't have to, stress out about finances and go in debt when an emergency does happen. So that's 3 mistakes that you need to avoid in your 20s. The first one, you need to live within your means. You need to have a budget. Do not live out of your means and fall into trap of lifestyle inflation, because you are making money for the first time at a big boy, big girl job. So make sure you live within your means. The second one, you need to start investing. Don't make the mistake of not investing when you're young because you don't have money. Starting and investing is better than no investing. A small investment is better than no investment. And the third one is to make sure you have an emergency fund. Don't make the mistake of not having an emergency fund and then having to go in debt because you don't have this money. You have to go take a payday loan, private loan. You have to go in credit card debt. I know when you're in your 20s, it's very hard to actually be responsible financially because you want to have fun. You are more energetic. You are free. You're an adult for the first time really in the real world making big boy, big girl money. And so it's really hard to not just fall trap into, let's go spend this money and let's swipe my credit card and then let's go out to the bar and spend $60, $50, $100. Let's go out to eat, spend $50. Let's go on this awesome, trip to Europe, and it's going to cost me about $10,000. And then I'll just put it on the credit card and pay it off over, don't make those mistakes. Those are mistakes that average people make, and it's not fun because in reality, when you're in your 20s, it's a make or break type decade. I always tell people that are younger than me, start creating good habits when you're young so that when you get older, you have those good habits. It can be an absolute foundation for good habits or bad habits that you set in your 20s financially. It can make a long-lasting relationship with finances, good or bad, in your whole life. You might be stressing your entire life because of finances, mistakes that you made in your 20s that you didn't know. You didn't know because you weren't financial literate. You did not know because no one had ever taught you. No one had ever talked to you about finances. Our education system, most people don't talk about finances unless you're actually in a financial class. Most people don't have personal finance classes. And so you need to make sure that you're building a foundation. Watch videos, learn, educate yourself, read, do all these different things, because in the end, it will make a massive impact and really set yourself up for retirement, set yourself up to create generational wealth, because you could have millions and millions of dollars in your account if you just follow proven steps that work. And if you do not know any steps, I'm going to link a video right here. It's a video where 10 things that you can do to set yourself up to become a millionaire. And if you follow those steps, I 100% think you will become a millionaire. You just have to follow the steps. It's a video right here, 10 steps on how to become a millionaire, 10 things you can do. Now, if you have any other questions, put them in the comment section, because my goal on this channel is to help create people that are financial literate. They know how finances work. They don't get into debt. They know their personal finances. They have a good relationship with their finances, and they can have fun while at the same time being responsible and self-disciplined. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, like and comment what you want to know next. Or if you just have a general question, put it down in the comment section and I'll get back to you. Guys, remember, until next time, you can do all things through him that give you strength. Peace.